Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about food delivery services struggle with fraudulent order refunds abusing the platform. You know, I'm glad that this is being spoken about more on more mainstream sites because, quite honestly, this has been a problem in the gig economy as a whole, and really a lot of different businesses have had this problem, but it's to a greater degree in the gig economy because of how convenient the service is. And now we are getting a full article talking about the fraud taking place against gig workers and against the platform. So with that said, we are talking about everything that's being said in this article, how it actually is for Doordash UberEats and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. This is some food for thought for chronic complainers. Food delivery services are plagued with refund fraud as customers demand money back for alleged unsatisfactory orders, even if there was nothing wrong with the items received. I love how we're opening this up to this isn't something that some customers do. This isn't simply an activity taking place on a platform. This is a characteristic of who these people are. They're chronic complainers. They're the people in my comment section complaining about tipping. They're the people who claim to get a real job. These are the people that yell about getting a real job. These are the people that have a problem with effectively everything. They're chronic complainers looking for anything and everything wrong with the world. So props to that, seriously. And also, it's not even just the items that they received. It's sometimes not even about the items themselves. It's about a dipping sauce that they don't receive, or it's about something else of the similar nature. According to a new report from the fraud prevention company Incognia, nearly half of the delivery app consumer fraud is refund abuse, which cost businesses an estimated $103 billion last year. A separate report from Appriss Retail and Deloitte found. This is something that I feel like should be investigated further. This is costing an entire industry $103 billion. I don't care if you don't like corporations. If you're also committing fraud in the name of getting back at these companies, you're just as much of the problem. Like, this is the people that always bitch about tipping their drivers and then deflect claiming that we should be going to our bosses and asking for a pay raise, when in reality, they didn't tip. They wouldn't provide the raise either. They were in the literal same position, and you chose not to tip your driver. That is a revelation of your character just as much as theirs. You could say the food wasn't good. The food was cold. There was something missing. Incognia CEO and co-founder Andre Ferraz told Business Insider. How do you verify these things? It's very difficult. It's hard to verify, but it's also not as cut and dry as people make it sound that it is. Like, let's say the driver was waiting at the restaurant for 15 minutes, right? And during that 15 minutes, it can be perceived as they were making the food for 15 minutes of time and then they received it. However, that's not always true. Factually speaking, that's not always true. It could have very well have been that they didn't start the order for 10 minutes and then they did it in 5. Sometimes the waiters and waitresses choose to let the order stay on the counter in the back for another 10 minutes because they are just in a bad mood or they don't want to do their job. So they're taking their negative feelings out on the driver. That's why when I make those videos saying, hey, that's the food right there, that's them, they're doing it, that's their choice, and I make sure sure to tag the specific company I'm working for. I want it clear that these are the companies that pull this shady shit. It's messed up. It's criminal. I hate it when they do it, and I hate it now. And I hate that this is the kind of openings they are creating for customers that commit fraud. Also, let's say they just showed up and they picked up the order literally immediately. What's to say that because they chose not to tip their driver, that's why the food was cold? Like, this is why I say you don't serve no-tip customers. Because the order starts at like $2, why should they have their food delivered in a timely manner? Nobody wants to work with them. The restaurants don't want to work with them. The drivers don't want to work with them. The platforms don't want to work with them. Literally, no one wants them. The average consumer can request a refund for a handful of orders in a row on most delivery apps. But too many refund requests can result in the account being flagged, and the platform will not allow you to ask for a refund, said Faraz. Now, I know that paragraph can also encompass a couple of different categories, but on paper, this literally does look like fraud. Sure, there are people that are in rough neighborhoods that have drivers that don't really do their job. It's a rough neighborhood in general. And because of that, because they have a very low quality of driver area, which is why location is such a big thing in the gig economy and in a lot of different aspects. But in my mind, that's also a risk. This is why some areas need to be managed on a localized area instead of this giant all-encompassing big corporate thing. Because then you could tell the difference between the two, you know? You're abusing the platform, he added. But some scammers create multiple accounts with various phone numbers and emails in order to pull off the heist and receive more of the allotted refunds. Incognia reported that one fraudster created more than 200 delivery app accounts, placed over $5,000 in orders, and received $4,163 back in fraudulent refunds, meaning they received thousands of dollars in product for just $851. You see, that goes right back to the point of customers need to be verified just as much as drivers do. Like, this is the kind of fraud that takes place. If you want to clean up the platform on one side, you got to do it from all sides. That's just a fact. Tutorials for the get-rich-quick scheme have circulated social medias and encrypted messaging app Telegram, according to CNBC. These tutorials were going so crazy for the longest time. I remember doing a video on one a while back, and I wouldn't even show it because it was such a big issue. I also don't like talking about the tutorials themselves because what ends up happening is you talk about it more and it becomes a bigger problem. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, but you gotta be making moves in order for it to get better. You know? You need to keep up with all the things that fraudsters are creating, warned Faraz. Some companies are taking action, such as UberEats, which vowed to take fraudulent behavior seriously, according to Business Insider, and monitors both drivers and customers, reserving the right to refuse adjustments for suspicious refunds. Meanwhile, Doordash introduced a 4-digit PIN system to address fraud on the platform last year. At the time, the delivery company said that although a vast majority of our consumers are honest, there are some who make inaccurate or false reports. Okay. Uber Eats has had a 4-digit PIN system, first of all, so don't act like DoorDash was the first to create this. You're gonna need to relax with that. That was literally a copy and paste thing, and you just gave the credit to DoorDash. They do not need any more of an ego boost to match their hubris. Second, on Uber Eats specifically, especially with tip baiting, they're fostering the concept of fraud on the platform. Just taking them at their word is just ridiculous in itself. Like, I know that they didn't actually take any noticeable action other than just deleting some of these customers, and they didn't actually go over the numbers or anything. Like, DoorDash loves to stroke their own ego and seek validation from everybody by showing everything. That said, Uber Eats is really more of a fostering ground for fraud on the platforms than actually being a place place to stop them. They need to get rid of tip baiting before they can accurately make a statement like that. Incognia also found a second kind of consumer fraud called promotion fraud, which malicious actors use multiple accounts to abuse promotions, such as repeatedly claiming a new user discount. This is actually a major thing that has happened with the consumer side and with the driver's side, to where sometimes you'll see a lot of drivers that have a 0 to 200 even though you refer to your friend because they won't follow through and get the work done. But then they'll take their friend's account and get the referral bonus themselves, because sometimes those bonuses are huge. Like, I remember at one point it was $2,000. No shit, you wanted to do the work for that. So he got all the money for the work that he did and an extra $2,000. That's insane. According to the report, one user was able to exploit $2,000 worth of promotions over the course of a month from 400 various accounts, a scheme that can cost the companies their budgets. This method of abuse can drain marketing campaign budgets, increase in user acquisition costs, and distort growth metrics, the report said. True, but I'd also like to remind people that Doordash is also a company that will have those promotions and look for any reason in the world not to give it to you. Or there's some sort of glitch that's stopping it at $199, or just before you're about to hit it, they'll just stop sending you orders entirely. Like, both realities are true. There are marketing campaigns and there is fraud on all sides. Let's not act like the companies don't pull this shit too. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. I love how we're talking about the customers that pull this fraudulent behavior on a grander scale, and there are specific actions that are being taken on the subject. I had no idea that all of these studies have been found and there are people actually concerned about this issue. I thought that they were just making it out to be that drivers were the bad guys all along, because we're such an easy target for a lot of people, whether it's the companies we work on or the people or the customers we deliver to or the restaurants we work with. It's just all crazy how we're usually the targets. And now we're looking at each of the sectors like, okay, the companies are pulling shady shit on their side. There's a bunch of customers that are also pulling shady shit. And now we just need people to look at these restaurants for pulling their shady crap, and we're good to go. Either way, regardless of whatever fraud that can take place, because here's the reality, a lot of this kind of fraud can actually affect drivers' incomes too. Because they could claim that the order never arrived. Who do they look at? The idiot driver. They then will investigate, and we're usually guilty until proven innocent. And because we're guilty until proven innocent, that leads to wrongful deactivations, which is a major thing if you don't have a diversified gig portfolio or an exit strategy. This is why the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not the goal. This is why it's vital that you make sure you're on multiple platforms in multiple verticals, so that way, in the event that food delivery ain't cutting it or the customer base is getting a little too fraudulent, that you start to make your way to different kinds of industries, such as grocery delivery or package delivery. The list can go on. And one of the places where you can accomplish all of that and more is through the Driven Wyld Discord server. The Driven Wyld Discord community is exclusive for gig workers looking to expand their knowledge and expertise in their self-employment and entrepreneurial journeys. I've partnered with high-level professionals to bring you some of the most exclusive benefits based on your personal needs as a gig worker. Exclusive professional opportunities and gig postings, more live streams with high-level professionals in our industry, educational systems designed to help you build your own dispatch company, as well as other scalable opportunities. And speaking of scalable opportunities, we have the Build Your Own Dispatching and Delivery Service Provider course, and we are changing the game and transforming how businesses serve customers and gig workers get more opportunities. Feel free to join us there as well. So whether you're a gig worker looking for more opportunities to earn or an exit strategy, because the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not simply the goal, and you would like to see something with more growth potential and scalability, there's something here for you. Check the link in the description and get started on making the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. We are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh.